Agribusiness brought to you by Sure Crop, quality liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
Hi, I'm Phil Stallman. I'm a weed scientist at the Agricultural Research Center at Hayes. We've been working for the last several years on herbicide resistance in weeds, predominantly glyphosate resistance in kochia. But in the past couple of years, we've actually had growers tell us that they're also having difficulty in controlling kochia with another popular herbicide called dicamba. And so we are expanding our research that we've been doing to include dicamba in our testing.
My name is Mithila Jugulam. I am a faculty in the Department of Agronomy at Kansas State University. My expertise is in weed physiology and genetics. I do research to understand the mechanism of herbicide resistance in weeds, as well as to understand genetic basis of herbicide resistance, which means how the herbicide resistance is controlled in plant. Is it a single gene or multiple gene trait? As well as we also investigate how herbicides work in plants, basically determining the mechanism of resistance. In addition to this, I also train graduate students, both MSc and PhD students, as well as teach courses related to weed science at Kansas State University.
Well, all of the weed science research in Kansas is a collaborative effort. We actually have a very good team of scientists in Manhattan and in Hayes and in Garden City and in other locations. And we work very nicely together. We collaborate on a number of projects so that where I may not be able to do one particular aspect of research at my location, some of my colleagues may be able to do that at their location. So it truly is a team effort, which is really important to the growers of Kansas.
I'm currently working in the Department of Agronomy in Weed Science Laboratory. We are situated in Manhattan, Kansas, and our department is in Throckmorton building, and our labs are very well equipped with all the equipment required to perform these experiments. And also I collaborate with various experts in weed science. They have excellent facilities and knowledge to support me in my research.
We have received funding from the Kansas Soybean Commission for the past couple of years to look at glyphosate resistance in kochia. We are approaching them this year and explaining to them the necessity to expand the focus of that research to include dicamba. The importance of that is dicamba is one of the main herbicides, the main alternative herbicides that is used when glyphosate no longer works. And growers are now telling us, though, that they're also having difficulty in controlling kochia in particular with dicamba. This is further complicated by the fact that there are dicamba-tolerant soybeans are being developed and will become commercial within another 2 or maybe 3 years. And this will place additional selection pressure on the weed species to dicamba. So it's important that we have, first of all, that we have a baseline understanding of the susceptibility of kochia throughout the state to dicamba, and then to also develop some stewardship guidelines and determine best management practices before the dicamba-tolerant soybeans are commercialized.
Agribusiness brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
In this research, once we achieve the overall goal of the project, then it has several implications to agriculture. We could determine why a herbicide resistant gene spreads in the population. In other words, how serious the problem would be for growers to manage the issue of resistance. So understanding the basic mechanisms in plants would help us to recommend some management practices to growers to control the resistance issues in their fields?
Well, kochia is predominantly a problem in the western half of Kansas, but it isn't limited to Kansas. It's really a problem from, I would say, the western portion of the Great Plains, extending all the way from New Mexico up into the Canadian provinces.
One of my favorite areas, which is also challenging, is to understand both the genetic and molecular basis of resistance to herbicides in plants, which is both exciting at the same time. It's also challenging to figure out the molecular mechanisms describing the resistance to herbicides. So I would say that is my favorite area.
We work with all crops that are grown in the state, looking for programs or systems of weed control in all of these crops. But the research focus the past couple of years has been heavily on managing glyphosate resistance.
So understanding the mechanism of herbicide resistance is relatively time consuming, but however, when we look at the molecular or genetic basis of herbicide resistance, it takes much more longer time than looking at the mechanism of resistance, because several of these experiments involve very intricate and very sensitive equipment, as well as good hands to work with. So sometimes it would be challenging, therefore it might take a longer time.
We can't do the research without funding from a number of different organizations. It costs a lot of money to actually do research, but in turn we believe that the research that or the findings that we learn, we can take those findings and take those back out to the growers, and they tell them some better ways to manage the problems than perhaps that they've been practicing. And so we believe that it is a good return on their investment.